Hey, it's Coach Glenn. In today's coaching session, I'm talking with Lori, one of our students who's dealing with a challenge that a lot of investors face. There's a deal that she has that's going sideways and costing her more every single day. So today's session is going to be for you if you've ever felt stuck and if you're ever holding on to a number that you need to get when you sell the house, regardless of what the market is telling you loud and clear. If you've ever had a project that got delayed or over budget because of mismanagement or permit issues. Maybe you felt emotional about a house and you overlooked the math that really matters. Or maybe you're wrestling with when to cut your losses and move on. Well, in this conversation, we're going to cover why it's your responsibility to own the job, regardless of what a contractor tells you about permits or anything else that a contractor says. The hard lesson that a house is only worth what someone is willing to pay for it, regardless of how much you have into it. And the mistake that holding on to an old number and ignoring the market reality will cost you. And why pricing right and making quick decisions can save you thousands in holding costs. It's also going to talk about the key takeaways that every investor needs to remember. Fall in love with the profit, not the product. So if you ever felt like a deal was bleeding you dry or that you're trying to prevent that from happening, this conversation is going to be for you. Let's dive right in. All right, I'm Coach Glenn, and I am here with Lori from Orlando. Lori, tell us what's got you stuck today so I can help get you unstuck.
Hey, Glenn. Well, I have a flip. My sister and I have a flip in Orlando, and it's been a longer process than it should have been. So our carrying costs are really adding up fast, and worried that it's not going to sell quickly because of the market, and need to get out of it before we lose all of our profit. And the Kiavi loan is due in 6 months.
Okay. So let's talk about the first thing I heard is how far over are you time-wise?
Well, we wanted it was supposed to be done around the middle of February, and it was finished. Really, it was finished like a week ago, but we listed it a month ago.
Okay, so that is
3 months.
About what, 4 months?
Almost 4 months, yeah.
4 months late. Why? I want to dive into that first. I'm going to help you with how to get rid of this thing, but first I want to dive into why you're in this position in the first place.
Yeah, so there wasn't supposed to be any permitting required for anything that we were doing. That's what our contractor told us. But he did need to hire a plumber to do some plumbing work in the utility room that we were adding a shower and a toilet and a sink to. And a month after they started the work, then they told us that we did need a permit. So then we had to start, but we had to get it ourselves because we needed a building permit. But because it was in our LLC, we couldn't be the general contractor. And we went back and forth with Orange County. And it took like 2 months to get.
Got it. So here's what I want to do, right? I want to stop you there and I want to talk about the initial problem I see. Right now, the problem I see is a contractor and a permit problem, but let's talk about the permit problem first. You own the job. And so you created this mess by not owning that project and getting the permit yourself. Never listen to a contractor tell you that you're supposed, you don't need a permit for that. They don't want to go get a permit because it feels like a cumbersome task for them. And you have to own that job. So you have to say, this is my project. You do the research and find out that you have to have a permit. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So because look at the chaos it caused you by not knowing that up front, right?
Yeah.
So sad to say, when we see something like that and you say it's 4 months, you caused that 4 months. So what I'm doing is kind of giving you some tough love so you understand that you caused it. So let's not ever do that again, right? Let's learn that the hard way.
Yeah, exactly. Tough lesson to learn.
Right. So that's created this 4 month process because I get it. The permitting, the town, the LLC, it gets complicated. But if you did it up front, also what happens is, right, when you do this, the code enforcement is not always so receptive to you after you have tried to cut them out of the deal. Have you noticed that? It takes a lot longer to get things approved. You go on the back of the pile. They don't really care about you anymore because now you're blacklisted with them because you're somebody who tries to cut the rules and cut them out. And I will tell you this, one of the things that's a benefit to having code enforcement is they keep an eye on your contractor. They make sure it's being done correctly, because if you are a new flipper, you don't know what's supposed to be done. And even me, I've done 1,200 deals and I don't always know what's supposed to be done in a certain code, but they're going to keep the contractor compliant, which will keep your job moving forward. And then you can use them as your, hey, listen, that's what code enforcement is saying. You got to do it that way. Make sense?
Yes.
All right. So that got you in that position. Now you're at a position where it's 4 months late and you said, I don't want to lose my profit because your holding costs are getting eaten up. So I'm assuming you're on the market for how long now? A month?
Yeah, a little over a month.
Have you had any offers?
No.
Okay. Why do you think you're not getting offers?
I think it's just the market's too volatile. It's not overpriced.
I disagree.
I don't think it's over improved.
I disagree on the overpriced part. You know why I disagree? A house is only worth what someone is willing and able to pay for it, period. That's what determines the value. Do not make emotional decisions based on yesterday's information.
Okay.
So right now, when you bought that house, you had a certain expectation of what you wanted to sell it for that you thought the market would bear, correct?
Yeah.
And so you are mentally hanging on to that number right now, probably with what I call a kung fu grip. You don't want to let that number go because that number represents a profit to you, right? And to you, if you sell that house for less than that and don't make a profit, what's that going to feel like to you?
A bunch of wasted time.
Okay. So if you're making, so in other words, you're saying to yourself, I have to get that number. I'm going to hold out for that number, right? So you're making an emotional decision based on yesterday's information. You have to look and say, what's today's information? Today's information is maybe the market has softened a little bit in Orlando and that house is going to sell for a little bit less. And you have to accept the fact that it is what it is. You can't control the market. So you're making a decision saying, this is what I have to get. And the market's like, we don't care what you have to get, Lori. We don't care what you have to get. We're going to pay you what we think it's worth. And so if you're not getting foot traffic, it's priced too high, especially after a month. So there are some things to look at in this, but I want you to just be really careful to not make decisions based on yesterday's information. So
we have already lowered the price and we lowered it before the 30-day mark.
How much did you lower it?
15,000.
15,000. So typically, give me a price point that we're in. What's the price point? What's the listing price?
385. It started at 400.
400 flat?
Yeah.
That was what they listed at, 400 flat?
Yeah.
Interesting. So I would always recommend, believe it or not, going $1 less than that, because
that's what I said.
Yes. When people select what they want to buy, what they want to pay for houses, that's usually where it falls in that mark. I'll go 300 to 399.9 and then 400 to 500. So typically that's kind of a rookie move on the realtor part. So that would have been a better place to start. So now it's been sitting. When did you do the price drop?
Probably 2 weeks ago.
Okay. And still no foot traffic.
No, just like a couple people coming through the open houses. And today is the 4th private showing in the whole time it's been listed.
Okay. So if the showing doesn't go well today, my advice to you is you have to lower it again. And you're probably going to have to lower it another $10,000. And I know that you don't like that, but it is what it is. You can't control it. You can't control the market. Now, how much profit do you have if you were to sell that tomorrow and you sold it for $15,000 less than where it is right now? Would you make a profit or not?
Yeah, but I haven't run the numbers again recently, so I'm not sure how much.
Okay.
I think initially we were expecting 40 to 50 if it sold for 375.
Okay.
But that was if, it didn't take 4 extra months.
Sure. So the loss has already happened, right? Just like you make your money when you buy, you also lose money when you mismanage a project too. It's going to happen. You have to decide when you're going to accept it. So the sooner you accept the fact that this is what's going to happen, then you get to stop the bleeding. And I'm going to tell you from personal experience, you're not the only person who's ever lost less or even possibly lost money on a flip. That's not unheard of to happen to people, even me. It happened to me a lot in the early days because I had nobody coaching me and didn't know what to do. And I remember calling a seasoned pro that I knew in a different part of the country, and I didn't know him that well. And I called and said, I have got this flip that I am about to lose money on. I said, I don't know what to do. Like, I'm holding out. And his advice to me was, get out, drop the price and get out and make your money on the next one. And that's the best advice I can give you is drop the price to get out, find that sweet spot number to drop the price to. When you have foot traffic, you'll get offers. You got to have foot traffic to get offers though. So if the showing doesn't go well today, I'd lower another $10,000, and every week or two, I'd lower again another few $1,000s, and just keep that so it keeps going up to the top of people's lists so they can see it. How does the house show? How do your pictures look?
They look great.
Okay.
I think they look great. There's virtual staging, and it looks amazing.
Okay.
It looks totally real. I've seen virtual staging that is not good.
Yep.
And then, there's also pictures of the actual rooms without the staging. So I think it looks really, really great.
Okay. So what I hear a little bit of, and just be careful of this, make sure that you don't fall in love with your product. I know it sounds strange. Don't fall in love with your product, fall in love with the profit. So if you fall in love with the product, sometimes it makes us have clouded decision making. And I want you to be a real estate investor and make real estate investing decisions. So right now you have to say, the market it's going to be what it's going to be. Like I have made my bed. It's time to lie in it, right? Because of my mismanagement during the construction process, I've got myself in this pickle. And listen, lick your wounds and be done. It's not going to change the outcome. You can't force someone to pay more for the house. You can't. It's only going to sell for what someone's willing, and I say willing and able to pay for it.
Yeah.
Because there's always a neighbor who says, "Oh, I'd give you $500,000 for that house." Can you? No. So that person always is willing to pay a lot more. But whatever the market bears, that's where you are going to make or lose your money. So on this deal, I would look at it and say, it's going to be what it's going to be. Let me get out and let me move on to the next deal. So I would lower that price every week to 2 weeks until you get foot traffic. Foot traffic will bring offers. Simple as that.
And you said lower at 2,000 or 3,000 every.
I would lower your next one so you just lowered 15, right?
Yeah.
I would go. So if you lower at 5, where does that put you?
380.
So 379.9.
Okay.
I would go to 379.9 and see if you get traction there. If you don't get traction there, I'd go $5,000 again. You have to get foot traffic. And the rule of thumb is if you lower by 10,000, you can usually get a couple of feet in there. If you lower by 20, you'll get an offer. That's usually how it goes, as long as you're reasonably priced when you first start. Now, nobody wants to go 20,000 less, Lori. I mean, people that are watching now, nobody wants to go 20,000 less. But again, it is what it is. Your job right now is to find what the sweet spot is to get foot traffic, to get an offer, lick your wounds and be done. Like, let's say, listen, this is the deal. We learned some valuable lessons. That'll never happen again. And now you've got experience. You have a lender in your back pocket with Kiavi, right? So you've got this experience. You can say, now I can go forward to my next deal and I can be better at this deal. I can buy a little bit deeper. I can manage a little bit better. And maybe on that deal, instead of coming to me and saying, listen, I was supposed to make 40, I ended up making 15,000. You'll say, I was supposed to make 50, I actually made 75. Because that's a common thing that happens too, is it goes up the other way if you're managed the job correctly.
Yeah.
Make sense?
Yes.
I know it's not what you want to hear.
No, it's what I expected to hear though. I'm just wondering, is there any creative way of selling it or getting out of it that I don't know about or that I haven't thought of?
Well, if you had more profit margin, yes. So there are clever ways during a high interest climate like we're in that you could offer someone to buy down their interest rate. So you could go to the bank and say, listen, what would it cost me to give somebody a 4% rate? And it might be a $25,000 fee up front. And if you pay that fee or the points on the loan, you could say, I'm going to pay this fee so you can get 4% mortgage. And you could advertise that way. So it's worth a phone call to see. I don't think the numbers will make sense for you, but that's a way to do it where you say, because you're either going to lower the price or you're going to give them concessions at closing.
That sounds like something my realtor suggested. She's seeing people doing, which is, well, it's not uncommon. It's basically offering to pay 2.5% of the buyer's commission.
That's commission. I'm talking, and that's a possibility too.
I know what you're talking about. Yeah.
Yep. Yeah, you could offer the commission, but if you can buy down their interest rate, that's a little more attractive to somebody who shops interest rates. Now, you are at that price point in Orlando, you're really in a first-time home buyer market, right? That's a first-time home buyer price range. Would you agree?
Yeah, here, yeah.
So they're not always, I know that, believe me, California is even different, but so they're not always shopping interest rates. They're not always quite as aware of interest rates as people that are on their second home. Because first-time home buyers are mostly saying, hey, can we afford the payment? And they're not necessarily thinking about that. So if you were to do that, you want to market the payment. That's something I've done in the past many times, is if you were to do that, you would market in the MLS. If it's allowed there, you'd market the payment. Own this house for blank down and blank per month. That's the way you attract a first-time home buyer. When they see that, they say, I could afford that house. They're not thinking about, hey, I got a 4% interest rate. They're just thinking, hey, I can do this house for $1,800 a month, $2,200 a month. Wow, that's in our price range. We could do that. And at least you'll get a phone call. And then your agent has to know how to have that conversation. So I would talk to a good mortgage broker and say, what would the points be for me to buy someone's mortgage from 7% down to 5% or whatever it might be? And then figure out what that payment is and try and market that payment. That's something you could certainly try to see if you can get foot traffic. Remember, at the end of the day, you're still paying more money. And so you're either going to lower the price or you're going to pay for it. It just depends on which way you want to go.
Right. Yeah. Like which is less.
Yes. Yeah. And again, I want to leave with this thought. Do not make emotional decisions based on yesterday's information. Because you've got to say, I'm a business owner and today's information is it's not selling. Yesterday's information was that was going to sell. Great. It's not. So it's time to make a different decision. And if it ever got far enough, which I hope it doesn't, but if it ever got far enough where you start to see you're going to be in the loss category, well, now it becomes a tax conversation. Now it becomes how do I use this to offset my taxes to actually make money on my tax return for the year? Because I have a loss, how can I make it even worse? So there's a lot of other strategies we go to. Let's hope that's not one we have to go to. But again, hopefully you bought it right and have enough in the margin. So again, manage correctly. Don't make emotional choices based on yesterday's information. And if you make those decisions every day and stay focused on, I'm a business owner, I'm on to my next deal, that's where you want to be.
Okay.
All right.
Yes. Thank you. I appreciate it.
You'll do great. And you're not alone out there. A lot of people struggle with the same kind of thing. So it is what it is, but I'm glad you reached out for help. So keep me in the loop so I know how you do. I want to know how you make out.
Okay. Will do. Thanks, Glenn.
All right, Laurie. See ya.